Welcome back to Business Insights. Today on the show we have Dan Conrod with Dale Carnegie. Dan, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Jake. Glad to be here.
Definitely. So, Dan, why don't you tell me a little bit of your background?
Yeah, so I came to Dale Carnegie actually right out of college. That was my first career move, and it was into sales. And I've been with them for almost 10 years now, in a lot of different roles there. It's been an exciting place to work.
That's amazing. I mean, most kids these days, most younger generations, I should say, I mean, myself included, go through 2, 3, 4 jobs within their first couple of years following graduation. Yeah. You found your passion from square one. What kind of things can you tell me? What did you do in college to really prepare yourself to discover what you want to do?
You know, it's so true. I look on my Facebook and I've got all my friends. They're changing jobs and trying to find what fits them. The stats show millennials have 8 jobs by the time they're 32. And that's not even all the millennials are in the workforce yet. It's kind of interesting. Actually, in college, I was involved in a service organization that was part of Kiwanis. It's called Circle K. So it's just Kiwanis for college students, basically. And had a lot of opportunities in there to do some great service and to take on some leadership roles that after I got out, I knew that was kind of the path I wanted to go to develop people and to help people grow. And ended up at Dale Carnegie and haven't looked back since.
That's fantastic. So Kiwanis, where's that based at?
It's based in Indianapolis, but there's Kiwanis clubs all over the world.
And where'd you go to school at?
Southern Illinois University.
SIU.
Yeah, SIUC. Yep.
Oh, fantastic. All right. So at Dale Carnegie, a lot of research goes into your client deliverables when you're working with organizations of all types, all sizes, wherever they are, what they're doing. Yeah. You found that clearly a lot of issues that are facing professionals happen to be unique to time, place, geography, wherever.
Certainly, yeah.
However, you found a few constants hold true across the board. A, people are being asked to do more in their jobs today than they have in past generations. Yeah. B, they're being asked to do it better. Yeah. If you can't do it, they'll find somebody else that can. They're not only that, they're being asked to do it faster. And on top of that, with less resources. Yeah. So you guys have created a program or a basis for a program called the 5 competencies, or key drivers to success. Yep. I'd love to hear more about these 5 key drivers.
Yeah, it's interesting because I remember thinking back on the traditional model of economics where you've got time, cost, and quality, right? Those 3 things, if you want it higher quality, it's supposed to cost more, or if you want it faster, then you're supposed to pay more for it, right? And we're just seeing that in business today, that's not really the case. Our customers, our clients can demand something better, faster, and cheaper. And if we don't find a way to keep up with that, they're going to find our competition and they'll take care of them. And that's really driving this more, better, faster with less that we're seeing. And I find that really interesting because the answer to it, our organization's answer to that lies in something that Dale Carnegie talked about 100 years ago. And we're a 102-year-old organization, and even then, even when Dale Carnegie in New York in 1912, right, when he was talking with these young professionals, the things he was talking about are these 5 drivers of success. 5 things that they're not rocket science. I mean, we'll have heard all of them before, and in the pace of business today, people just don't really have them all top of mind.
Okay, so a lot of it does seem kind of like common sense. What are the 5 key drivers? I don't think we've called them out yet. What are they?
Yeah, so the first one is self-confidence.
Okay.
All right, it's one of those things where there's not exactly a checkbox. You don't get a yes or no on self-confidence, but all of us have things that we're really confident in, and we have things that we're not so confident in. And almost by definition, the things that we're not confident in, it's where our opportunities are at. So finding ways to take advantage of those, to build our confidence, and to have that show makes a big difference in our career.
And these opportunities may or may not be things that we've tried before, too, right? I mean, we only gain confidence through experience, right?
That's a big one, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. So you got self-confidence is number 1. The second one is our people skills. If you know anything about Dale Carnegie, you know we're going to talk about people skills. He literally wrote the book on it. And we find that relational, that ability to connect with other people is at the heart of everything we teach. Whether we're talking sales training or presentations training, whether it's how to communicate with diplomacy intact or get on your feet and talk to, it doesn't matter. All of it has a root with strong people skills. And Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People was really the original work on connecting with others.
Wow, and you know, with sales, I mean, people skills are paramount, clearly. I mean, I'd say they may even be number one, but number two makes sense as well. But the point being, though, they always said in sales training books, you know, always be closing. Well, I put a new spin on it and write this down. Always be charming. I really think that...
Much better advice.
Right? Yeah. It works. I mean,
yeah.
Anyway.
And Dale Carnegie would add to that, sincerely charming.
Yes,
right?
of
Absolutely.
Course, of course.
Absolutely. But that's much more effective.
Moving on to number 3. So what's the third?
So the third one is our communication skills. Right? So that's the ability to get our message across clearly, concisely, make sure that other people understand us, and it's also the flip side of that, listening really well. I found that a lot of problems in organizations, a lot of people issues are actually rooted in us not really listening, not seeing things from the other person's point of view.
Maybe instead waiting for their turn to talk.
That's absolutely what happens. Absolutely what happens. And then when we're communicating, are we able to be the same person, you know, sitting across the table from one another as we are in stage in front of an audience, you know, or in a small conference room giving a presentation? If we find ourselves not the same person in those scenarios, people will get confused. They'll think we're not being honest or not being real with them. So being able to be comfortable on our feet, you know, what we find is that if you get good at that, you actually can be more successful on your feet in front of the right people in just 10 minutes than several years doing your normal day-to-day job just really well.
8 hours of cold calling.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Right on. So number 4. What's number 4?
Yeah, so the fourth driver is our leadership, and not necessarily the formal leadership. That's important, and we got to have that. But what we're really talking about here is the being proactive, taking initiative, spotting something that needs to be done, and doing it. And we find a lot of times that people tend to not want to take on new responsibilities, or they say it's someone else's problem, and you know, I guess we can't solve everything that we ever come across, but we find that the people that take charge and that really put themselves out there and they decide what issues they're going to tackle, and they go for it and they figure it out and they rally people around them to get it done, those folks tend to be much more successful. And that's a skill you can learn. That's one you can develop.
Definitely. It's a great book on leadership. John C. Maxwell. We spoke on the phone the other day. I couldn't think of it. But Developing the Leader Within You by John C. Maxwell.
Yeah.
Fantastic book.
Love his stuff.
And which leads us to one of the titles of one of his chapters in that book, on attitude. I know attitude's number 5.
It is.
And it's what he calls the plus of leadership.
Absolutely.
So it takes it a step further. Tell me a little bit about how attitude...
Yeah, so Dale Carnegie's approach to attitude, we call it attitude control. You know, it's interesting. My very first, maybe not my very first, but one of my first 5 appointments at Dale Carnegie, we were going downtown, you know, coming into the city. We were going to meet with a very high-level person at one of the big marketing companies down here. And the person was talking to us about someone on his team. And we're talking through these 5 drivers, and he says, this person that I want to meet with you on, he says, he's got really great confidence. He thinks his ideas are the best, and they usually are. I mean, that's how important this person was to the company, right? Good people skills, right? He connects really well with others. People consider him a friend. Great communication skills. On his feet, he's got people laughing, having a good time. Excellent leadership. His stuff is all on time, under budget. All of that stuff, except when the pressure got turned up a little bit. Except when there was a little heat. And then all those other skills went out the window. And this person was telling us he always knew, because he'd come into the office and people were saying, oh, don't go down there today. Don't go talk to that person today. And it's because his attitude control was out of whack. You know, we sometimes react a little differently when we're under pressure, when we feel like the spotlight is on us. And Dale Carnegie said that our attitude is the only thing we have 100% control over. I always thought that was really interesting. You think about it. It's easier said than done, right? But at the end of the day, we're responsible for our attitude.
It's completely true. And there's another, it reminds me of a story out of that John C. Maxwell book. It talks about how a father and a son, the son always admired the father, how he maintained such a cool head under all the stresses in life and family and work and everything combined. He always remained cool. And he said, how do you do it, Dad? And his dad said, well, something I work on every day. Attitude's something that it doesn't come naturally, but we are in control of. And it can really be the determining factor in one's success or failure.
Absolutely.
Now, I know we're running short on time here. Where can our viewers go to find more information on the programs that you guys offer at Dale Carnegie? And not only that, but just resources at a high level that they may tap into.
You know, as a relational organization, again, we'd love to talk to people. I mean, that's our thing. That's how we're wired. That's what we love doing. So any way you can get in touch with Dale Carnegie, a good place to start is at our website. For the folks in Chicagoland, it's chicago.dalecarnegie.com. If you're outside of that, just go to dalecarnegie.com and they'll filter you. Another great resource is our apps. We've got a whole collection of leadership apps.
Really?
Yeah, you look at them online. Secrets to Success is kind of the first one, and that goes over those human relations principles. And then there's a series of leadership apps. It's a pretty hefty app. You download it, it's going to take up some space, but that's because there's videos on there that show how these principles play out. Some of them are really funny, so they're great apps. It's just a good way to get some exposure to what we're about.
And what are those? How would I find those in the App Store, or like in the Android
market?
Yep,
they're in the App Store and on the Android market. And you look up Dale Carnegie, and then there's a few kind of fake apps out there, but the ones you're looking for, they've got a blue logo with kind of a white diamond in the background. You'll find them on there.
Fantastic. I really thank you for coming on the show today, Dan. Is there anything else you'd like to share with us here today?
You know, I think that you focus on those 5 drivers. Right, make sure that we're always growing in our confidence, our people skills, our communication, our leadership, and our attitude control, and we just keep moving towards success.
Well, that's a wrap. Thank you again, Dan.
Thanks, Jake.